Doug, welcome to Linea Rock.
Ciao, Barbara. Come stai? Ciao.
Bene, good to have you here. So the fifth album from the Dead Daisies is about to come out in 1 month, which is Holy Ground. What's a pure Dead Daisies trademark, and how, on the other hand, Holy Ground will be a surprise, for us in terms of sound and composition?
Well, I'll answer the second part first, which the surprise is that with Glenn coming in, it's a huge change. I mean, it's like a massive, it's a fresh start. It's like a revolution, and we really gelled well together. It was a great opportunity that we got to record in the south of France and basically live together to make this album. And what stays the same is, it was interesting musically. Glenn definitely brought some new sound to the band, of course, but David Lowey's guitar, I recognized in the studio, is totally it's an important ingredient to the Dead Daisies in terms of the sound. Like, I would record my guitar and it would be like, yeah, that sounds good. But it wasn't until David Lowy put his guitar on that you would go, that's the Dead Daisies. His sound is really the thread that has continued entirely through the whole career.
So you said you were working on South of France to the new record, but is this like also a kind of social distancing record, or you had the chance, to meet up when possible and just work together, since, the plus of the Dead Daisies has always been the fusion of talents interacting. So it's like vital for you to work together.
Well, it was definitely, we recorded the album in a year ago. So we finished the album prior to the whole pandemic happening and everything. But it was definitely essential the way that we did it, because we were so isolated. It would have been fine during the pandemic because we wouldn't have seen anybody. We basically were together in our own bubble, just like how families are right now, in their own bubble at home. And we basically would wake up, have breakfast together, and then go play music together. And it was awesome, it was perfect because we were so focused. So that was the best part.
Intanto vediamo il cagnolino di Doug, bellissimo. What's the name of your dog?
His name is Dinky. His real name is Chiquito, but we call him Dinky because he's just a little Chihuahua. But I have another wild dog that is that we got. It was a puppy that we got at the summertime, and her name's Lucy, and she's just like, she's a puppy, so she's just mental. She just runs around, and I'm surprised she's not out here. But I'll call her and show you later.
You were talking about the great news, of course, which is Glenn Hughes in the band. Glenn is a true majesty, of rock and roll, and he's always very Hughes. Did he embrace, the Dead Daisies spirit from day one, or he tends sometimes to be a centralizer and to think and act as a solo artist?
That's a great question, because Glenn definitely did a really good job at trying to incorporate himself as a band member, similar to Black Country Communion. But at the same time, I mean, he's the front man, he's the lead singer. So of course he's going to have a big influence on the way the band sounds, because he's singing on it, and the way he plays bass is totally unique. And it's amazing. I mean, I was so excited when I found out that Glenn was an option that we could pursue, and I thought, that's perfect. I mean, when the management, they told me that Glenn was, they were talking to Glenn, I thought, they said, what do you think? I said, that would be insane, because you were not trying to replicate the past. We're going to break some new ground and make almost like a revolution, and start fresh with Glenn. But yeah, Glenn definitely brought his persona to the band, and then we maintained our sound with, the guitars and drums and such.
You have changed lineup many times through the years, with always famous rock names. What's the trick for the Dead Daisies, to balance such individual personalities, huge ones actually, to bring out the group and the sense of unity?
I think that everybody knows each other, and we're friends. We're like, it hasn't been any big surprises to bring in somebody that we didn't know. And prior to me being in the band, Richard Fortas and Marco were friends, and Dizzy knows everybody, Marco knows everybody, and they brought John Corabi in, and I thought that's a great lineup, And then I was working with Glenn Hughes when I got the call about making a new record with the Dead Daisies, and would I be interested in doing that, and then touring to support the record. And then now later Glenn's in the band, and prior to that, there was Brian Tishy in the band. Then we got Dino, who was a friend. So it's just been it's been really cool. It's very much like how early Deep Purple was. It's like a roundabout where you've got different versions. You got Mark II, 3, 4, etc. Yeah. So we're on Mark IV, maybe.
The good one. All right. So you have such a huge career, in your life. Since 1982, you've been like part of Hurricane, Lion, Burning Rain, Bad Moon Rising, Dio, Whitesnake, and now also with the Dead Daisies, there's the Revolution Saints. Do you actually ever listen to your old records at home? Do you have them all?
I have them somewhere. I'm actually in the process. I moved out of my house and am in a rental property now because I'm redoing my house. Since I was home this year, in my free time, I've been the boss of all the, contractor. I'm the contractor, so I don't know where all my albums are actually right now, but I do have them somewhere in boxes. Just boxes everywhere. But I don't really listen to stuff of my own very often, because it's like I listen to it and go, oh, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have done that. It's kind of like I'm basically always thinking about moving forward. Once in a while, something will pop up and I'll be like a song or a video. Somebody will post a piece of a video and I'll watch it or something. But generally, I would focus more on watching other people or listening to other people.
For us is the opposite thing, because when you want to, listen to something which is familiar, that you usually go pick old stuff. So it's like it's the opposite thing. It's very strange, actually. So let me translate this.
I listen to this guy a lot right here. This guy.
Oh, okay. Who is it? All right, Jimmy Page, man.
Hey, wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Somebody's been eating chocolate.
Oh, wow.
That was you?
Honey.
She said she had chocolate for lunch.
You joined the Dead Daisies in 2016. How much did your approach to the band change in 4 years? Do you feel it more yours today? And what was missing before? I mean, which was your added value to the Dead Daisies?
I can't say. I mean, I definitely, from the time I joined the band, I definitely was excited about working with these guys, and we've had a blast, and we continue to have a really good time working together. I can't really say. I don't think anything was missing before I got in the band. I thought it was a really strong lineup. I guess, tried. When I came in, they had just gotten rid of not gotten rid of. That's the wrong way to say it, but Dizzy and Richard had left to go back to Guns N' Roses, and that meant no keyboards. And David Lowy said, I wanted Dizzy for a few songs, but he ended up being in the band full time, you know. And he goes, I want it to be more guitar oriented. So I was like, okay, that's cool. That's fine with me. And up until now, you know, it's still the same thing now, but we've got with Glenn, it's kind of a fresh thing for everybody because Glenn's probably, I think this might be the first time that Glenn's been in a band with 2 guitar players. Maybe. Yeah.
That's interesting. So,
yeah. So I really love working with David. He's a very honest, simple guitar player. His sound is very youthful. He's got a giant guitar sound, and he's really obviously he's the founder of the band, and he's been in the band the longest, of course. His guitar sound really is key to the sound of the band.
Yeah.
But what I added, I don't know. Maybe, hopefully, good stuff. I don't know.
Yes, that's for sure. Of the Daisies songs pre-dug, which are the ones that you feel most yours, that you dig the most to play?
Definitely, I Love You and I. That's a really great song. I would say we played. What's it called? Devil. I forgot I'm spacing on the title, but there was a few songs off of Revolution that I really liked a lot, and Lock and Load, of course, from their first album. Prior to Me was co-written by Slash. I really love that one. Devil. What's the song Devil? I can't remember what the song's called. Devil.
All right. I know what you mean. But I mean, do you have a say when you compile set lists for the live shows? I mean, or usually is the singer that decides?
Usually, actually, with the Dead Daisies, management has been really vital in doing the set list because they would look at album sales and Spotify, what kind of songs were ranking higher in certain areas. So we would change it up sometimes, but I think now that Glenn's in the band, Glenn's going to take more of a hand in that because, he's going to want to make the show roll what's good with how he feels, his voice and everything. And he sings his ass off on this record. He really shines on the record. So I'm cool with whatever he or management decide. I definitely would. I look at the set list sometimes and I'll say, hey, maybe it would be cool if we changed these 2 around, or I might jokingly say, what? We've got no such and such in the set list.
Yeah.
And but I'm pretty cool with everything.
Did you already rehearse some of the old material with Glenn? Did you have the opportunity or not yet?
Yeah, we did. Actually, about 2 months ago, it was, everything with the corona was kind of calmed down a little bit. And so we had an opportunity to get in rehearsal and go through all the new album and then go over I think we went over 6 or 7 older songs, and it's really cool how Glenn's interpretation. At first, we were trying to decide which ones would fit for him or which ones would fit for Dean to sing, maybe. But I think Glenn needs to be the focus. He's the front man of the band now. He's the main voice, the main character, and I think whatever suits his voice the best. But I did hear him sing. Make Some Noise, which was a little different, had a little more swing and groove to it, which was great. And I heard him sing, obviously I heard him, we played Long Way to Go.
Yeah.
That was killer. You and I, we did, and Mexico, a few others. And he sounds great. It's just that, it's important that Glenn be Glenn,
Yeah.
We're not trying to have Glenn sing like John. Glenn's they're 2 different both great, but two different personalities, two different vocal styles. And so it's really interesting here how Glenn interprets the older stuff.
So let's go back in time. What's the very first live concert, the very first ever that you attended to? What age and what do you remember of it?
The most, do you mean the most influential concert?
No, the very first one that you saw.
Oh, very first one.
Yeah.
Okay, the very first one was, I don't know, let's see, I guess I was 12. It was in 76, and it was the Beach Boys in the summer. Wow. It was, the Beach Boys was the first concert I went to, and I remember being very far away from the stage, so I couldn't see much. It was like way over there. There was, these little guys, and I remember it was nice, and I smelled a funny smell in the air. It was a sweet-smelling smoke kind of smell. I didn't know what that was, but now I know what it was.
So in the album, there's a version, Dead Daisies version of 30 Days in the Hall. Why that one? I mean, I know that you like to pick cover versions and make a Dead Daisies version out of them. What's the story behind this choice this time?
That we hadn't really thought about any covers for this album. We were so focused on new songs that we didn't really think about it. And then we were in the studio and management asked, "Hey, what do you guys want to do, cover wise?" And we said, "We don't really have any ideas." And I don't remember who said 30 Days in the Hole, but I immediately said, "Oh, I love that song," And so we cut the track, and I was putting guitars on it. We would record live all together, but we were mainly focused on the drums and the bass to get the vibe. And then I'd go in, and I was still working on guitar parts and still writing stuff. So I went in the studio and started to record that with an open tuning. And I thought it sounded really cool, but I was like, it almost sounds just like kind of too close to the original. So I said, "Guys, what do you think I should do?" And they said, "Well, try some stuff." So I tried making little changes here and there, and someone would go, "Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool." Or "That one's good. Nah, not that," And eventually I fell into a thing that was probably a little simpler and heavier than the original. But I thought it was a good choice, and it gave Dean an opportunity to sing a little bit too, which was nice.
Yeah. Doug, did you ever meet Eddie Van Halen? It's been 2 months now since he's gone. And do you have any memory related to him?
Yes, I met Eddie a couple times, and he was super friendly. The first time I met him was, I think it was in around 94. Andy Johns had been working with Van Halen, and Andy Johns, the producer, was helping me with a solo album. And he came over, and I had my studio at home, and he goes, "This is cool, but I need some louder speakers to listen to so we can really make good decisions on stuff." And he goes, "Let's go up to Eddie's house and grab some gear. I'm sure that, they'll let me," he said, "I'm sure they'll let me borrow it." So we drove up to Eddie's house, and I was standing outside smoking a cigarette, and Andy was gathering some gear that he wanted in the studio with the studio manager. And then this Range Rover comes up the hill, and I'll never forget, it was a green Range Rover truck, and it was Eddie in the side, but I never forget, there was a baby seat in the side of the car, and it had a 12-pack of beer inside. It was kind of cracked open, hanging out. It was like hanging out the window. And he's like, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm here with Andy. My name's Doug." And he goes, "Oh, hey man, Andy's here." I go, "Yeah, he's inside." He goes, "All right, hey, you want a beer? Grab a beer, And so I reached in and grabbed a beer, and he was just really friendly. And we ended up borrowing some speakers and a power amp and a guitar, a baritone guitar from him. It was like a kind of in between a bass and a guitar. And then we were mixing the record, and I was finishing up we got an idea for a part that I wanted to play, and I started to do it with an EBow. It's like this magnet thing that makes the string vibrate, kind of sounds like a violin. and I was doing this EBow part in the studio, and I'm concentrating on this EBow and playing it, and all of a sudden I see these legs in front of me, like coming right in front of me, and I look up and I was like, Eddie, what are you doing? You know, whoa. And he goes, what are you doing, man? I go, I'm recording. You know, I'm like in the middle of it. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. It was like, you don't have to be sorry for anything, you know, you're Eddie Van Halen. And then a couple years later, I was on tour with, doing promotion with a band called BMR, Bad Moon Rising. We were in France doing stuff, and we had actually, the record company got us the opening slot for Van Halen in Paris. And so at that time, Eddie he had a bad hip, and he was walking with a cane, and our dressing room was up these spiral staircases. Sorry, this is so long, Barbara.
No problem.
Our dressing room was up these spiral staircases, you know, the kind you got to twist to go up. And he came all the way up there with his cane to say hi to us. And I thought, man, how cool is that? And he, you know, I was having a little trouble that day with my power. On stage, I had a bad buzz going on with the guitar. And he said, hey, let Doug use my power, you know. So I got clean power, and we were able to play the show. And then I just went in front and watched him. It was just amazing, you know.
Yeah.
He was definitely, to me, the most innovative and influential guitarist in rock for me.
Yeah.
I think even more so, you know, everybody would talk about Hendrix, but I think Van Halen was more influential, probably.
Doug, on social media, and you just revealed it to us also during this interview, you've been doing some housework, and you've been moving to a new house during the lockdown. Is it like a cool exercise, you know, to reappreciate simple things in life, or more, you know, it's an exercise to remember how lucky you are to do what you do as a musician for a living and being on the road all the time? What of the two things?
Well, I mean, it's both, I think, because it's been really a lucky chance to be able to be around my kids so much for the last year. You know, first we got Glenn in the band last year, so we were writing and home, and then we went away to record, which was great. We could focus and do that, but then pandemic hit, and it was difficult, you know, because I was, you know, we were preparing to release the new album, and everything kept getting pushed back. But I decided to, you know, after I got over the initial, like, oh man, this is terrible, you know, and I started to have to look for the positive side, which was that I'm with my kids and my wife and home. And then I decided, okay, if I'm home, I might as well take advantage of, you know, doing the renovations, which was like a major just like my house was completely torn down and rebuilt. So I've still got a couple months to go on that, but I do really miss playing live. For me, music is definitely essential. Playing music and listening to music and going to see shows is essential for everybody. We need it, just like we need food and beer.
It's true. From a listener, Steph, who just wrote to us, is asking about the Revolution Saints. On the first record, there's a cover song from Francesco Renga, which is superior to the original one, in his opinion. So how did you get that idea, and how that happened? Why that song? And
he's talking about Here Forever?
Yes.
I didn't know it was maybe somebody told me before, but I didn't remember that it was a cover, but I believe that's correct now. But that first album was primarily 100% outside songwriters. It was started off to be Dean's solo record, and Dean asked, you know, who do you want to have play on it? And he said, I want to have my buddy Jack. I've known Jack for years, and I want to get Doug Aldrich. And then it turned into Revolution Saints, but it was Dean's solo project. So they had the material pretty much ready. And all I did from my end was just take the guitar parts that were just rough ideas and just try and develop them. And I'm glad that Stefano likes the version, because it's always kind of like when you do a cover, it's always dangerous that you're not going to do it as good as the original. So I'm happy that he likes it, and I think Dean also did a great job singing on all that stuff. He really did.
So you mean you never listened to the original one?
I didn't know. know. I just listened to maybe what was sent to me to record on. This is the difference between what the Dead Daisies do. When we record, we're together in one spot, and we were like working as a band, and I really love that. From when I joined the band, sitting down with Marco and John and David and Brian Tishy, we all had guitars, and we sat and played together, and we recorded together. And same with Glenn, we were all together. But Revolution Saints, as it was the songs were written and kind of demoed, and then I think Dean replaced the drum tracks with his drums, and I don't think his vocals were on yet, but what I was sent was the drums, the bass, some keyboards, and then scratch guitars. Okay. And then the scratch guitars, I think sometimes were just keyboards, that Alessandro Del Vecchio played. So I didn't know. For me, they were all kind of really cool songs, and they were outside songwriters. So that was just one of them. But I haven't heard that for a long time. I think we maybe did like a little video for that. I'll have to check it out again.
So you said you miss, the stage much, but what's next for the Dead Daisies? I mean, do you have a plan B if 2021 will be another year with no touring at all? Some big tours are already planned for 2022. So what are you thinking about it?
I'm thinking that I think we'll be in much better shape in a couple months once we get out of the winter time. Everybody's inside, so it'll be nice to be able to open your doors and windows and get fresh air and stuff, and also because of the science of the vaccines and all the pharmaceutical treatments, I think we'll be in good shape sometime next year to God willing, we'll be ready to do some touring. But I think that during this year, one of the things that I've been doing is also Glenn and I had been doing some writing, for the future. So there's also a possibility that we may just continue recording. We're going to release this album in January next month, but there is a possibility that we'll just go back in the studio and do more. We got some really cool ideas going, and he had a lot of. I've been juggling during this COVID. I've been, playing guitar and recording and doing sessions and a lot of tasks for the Dead Daisies and promotion, keeping busy with that, but also being a dad and then being the construction guy, So I've been really busy, but Glenn basically sat at home and he had a bunch of great ideas. So we started getting together on that stuff, and we'll see what happens. I really hope that we can get back to a bit of normal life. And I really I not only want to play live, but I really want to see a show. I want to go out, even to a club. That's the funnest thing to me is in Los Angeles, go see whoever comes in town, to go to the club and see him play, or I really love that. There's a place called the Baked Potato. That is an amazing jazz club, and they're still open, they're still going, but they're struggling, So it's a great place where if you're in Los Angeles, go to the Baked Potato. You can order a baked potato with steak or chicken or vegetables, and then watch a great show. It's awesome, So
Marco Mendoza told me about that place. He's always there.
Me and Marco played there a couple times together, and I've seen Marco play there. I loved it. Anytime Marco would play, he would go, "Hey, you want to come out?" And be like, "Yeah, I'll come out maybe." But when he plays baked potato, it's like, I'm for sure coming and bringing a bunch of friends because it's just an awesome place.
Yeah. So thanks, Doug, for your time for this interview. It's been a pleasure, as always, to talk to you. And we can't wait, of course, for the album to come out and to see you again in Italy. And now we're closing this interview with Righteous Days. Do you want to introduce it for us?
Let's see if we can get Ruby to introduce it for us.
Okay.
Hey, Ruby.
Allora adesso chiama sua figlia Ruby e ce la fa presentare da lei.
You gotta say, "This is the Dead Daisies, Righteous Days."
This is the Dead Daisies, Righteous Days.
Thank you so much. Ciao.
Ciao. Thank you, Barbara. Ciao. Grazie
Ciao.
mille.
See you next time.